Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. And today we finna react to who killed Reebok? Adidas. Adidas killed Reebok. There, that's it. I'll see you on the next video. Till then, not but anyways, though, who killed Reebok? Man, we already know Adidas killed Reebok. They bought their competition and then did nothing with it for years. Then Shaq and Allen Iverson as a couple investors put their money together to buy it so they can redo it. And I must say they have been putting out a lot of shoes as of recently. I've seen a lot of classics they've been putting out as of recently. I'm intrigued to buy some Reeboks, actually, some of the classics. I've never owned a pair of the Questions though. I've had Allen Iverson shoes before, but I never had his first shoe. That's the one shoe I've never had before in my collection ever in life. I plan on getting some one day. But anyways, though, without further ado, let's get right into this.
It's 2005, and Reebok is everywhere. In February, as a victorious Tom Brady and regular Donovan McNabb meet at the 50-yard line after Super Bowl 39, there was Reebok. In June, as the San Antonio Spurs chased their second title in 3 years, there was Reebok. In October, as Bobby James lifted his lead foot to deliver the final pitch in the White Sox World Series sweep, there was Reebok. And somewhere up in Nova Scotia, Canada, a young hockey prospect sat with the Reebok logo stamped across his chest. 1 week later, at his debut photo shoot as the #1 overall pick, there it was again. See, in 2005, Reebok wasn't just a sports brand, it was an empire. It had licensing deals with all 4 major pro leagues and rappers Jay-Z and 50 Cent releasing their own signature shoes off the court. We're talking Sidney Crosby, Peyton Manning, Terry Tate, Yao Ming, Allen Iverson. You remember that time, like baggy jerseys, the Motorola Razor, your MySpace top 8 friends. And whilst Nike was still king, Reebok was right there, right in the rearview mirror. And then, gone. So how does a company take 65 years to build a global empire and then lose everything at their absolute peak? This is a story of backstabbing rivals and the car crash ending of one of the world's most famous brands. From championships to the clearance bin, let's deep dive. Who killed Reebok?
Adidas.
The story of Reebok goes all the way back to Harold Abrahams and Eric Liddell winning gold for the 1924 Olympics, but I'm going to save us some time. Let's jump forward to the 1980s, as Reebok and American entrepreneur Paul Fireman attempted to break the British running brand into the American market. From the very beginning, Reebok had one eye on Nike. The waffle racer, produced by the company with the swoosh, had already been dominating the market for almost a decade. As the 1980s dawned, aerobics was becoming a cultural phenomenon in America. Thanks to fitness icons Jane Fonda and Richard Simmons, Reebok saw an opportunity to dominate a niche market. And while Nike had the runners locked up, they hadn't recognized the potential of the stretchers. Reebok seized the opportunity, creating the Freestyle, the first ever shoe designed exclusively for aerobics. Reebok's marketing strategy, including free aerobics classes with Richard Simmons, catapulted the brand into mainstream success. Sales skyrocketed. Reebok had landed. Even celebrities started wearing Reebok, with Sybil Shepherd at the Emmys in 1985, and Mick Jagger dancing in the street, even appearing on Sigourney Weaver as she stomped out aliens in 1986.
Do something!
But Fireman knew that betting everything on the spandex-clad aerobics fad, come on, was risky. What if leg warmers went out of style? Spoiler, they did. So with a secure market share and money to put behind innovation, Reebok laced up their trainers to challenge Nike directly. Next stop, the basketball court. Because if Reebok could dominate dance studios, why not a different kind of hardwood? The NBA had long been established as a shop window for sneaker brands to advertise their shoes to America, with Converse, Puma, Adidas, and Nike all releasing basketball lines that cross over into mainstream fashion. The Superstar, the Blazer, the Clyde. But as the 1980s rolled on, the shoes began to transform, and the battle intensified. The basic Converse All-Star, which had dominated the league since the 1930s, was left behind. Adidas rolled out the top 10 in 1979, prompting Nike's Air Force One in 1982, and followed up with the Michael Jordan-endorsed Air Jordan 1s in 1985. Not to be outdone, Converse revamped their All-Star into the Converse Weapon the following year, endorsed by Magic and Bird. Point is, if Reebok were going to insert themselves into this basketball battlefield, they better have some technological advancements to blow the competition away. And luckily, in 1988, inspiration struck, in the form of an inflatable ski boot. In 1988, Reebok acquired Italian tennis brand Ales, and it came with an obscure piece of ski boot technology, an inflatable tongue. Reebok took one look at it and thought, why not stick it in a basketball shoe? And thus, the pump was born. Unfortunately, the first few attempts weren't exactly slam dunks. The original prototypes, the self-inflating Pro Pump and the Pump Shot, which had a heel pump, were, in the words of Reebok's VP of Operations, bricks. But Reebok had another problem. As always, Nike were already 2 steps ahead. Sensing the competition, swoosh countered with the air pressure, a shoe with inflatable cuff to support the ankle. And to put it politely, Nike's version was sleek.
Ugh. Ugh.
Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that? What's that, brother?
Ugh. Nike, no. What was this? This was garbage, right? 10 times better than that. Reebok, 10 times better than that. Look at these right here. And look at those. You telling me y'all would buy these because they got a Nike swoosh on them? Yeah. I know a lot of y'all. I'm going to buy it because they got a Nike swoosh on it. That shit ugly. That big ass, fat ass knot in the back. Y'all mean to tell me y'all bought it? Yeah. It's something new. It's fashionable. Plus it's Nike, bro. Y'all niggas got it, bro. Y'all niggas got it.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I wish I would. I would gladly wear the pumps over that, whatever the fuck this atrocity is. What the fuck is that?
Sleek, and Reebok's wasn't, but crucially, Reebok had built its entire pump system into the shoe, controlled by a silicon basketball pump mechanism on the tongue. Nike's air pressure required a separate hand pump, which you plugged in the back and was actually quite annoying. So when it came time to release the pumps onto the hardwood, Nike's shoe flopped, and Reebok's took flight. Literally.
In the competition, so we know we're going to have a new champion.
But I think the guy who's really going to excite in this competition is D. Brown. I think he's got some tricks to show us.
The turning point came in 1991 thanks to Boston Celtics guard D. Brown. And Brown wasn't the biggest name in the NBA, but he took his moment.
Oh, he's pumping his shoes up.
Reebok stock up
For
600.
every dunk in the 1991 slam dunk contest, he bent down and theatrically pumped up his black Reebok Omni-Zone pumps. And the crowd went wild.
A two-handed windmill reverse.
Okay, Reebok stock just went down 500.
Brown planned to wear a Reebok hat, but was blocked by the NBA. So he turned to a backup jab. He closed his eyes. Well, at least he planned to close his eyes. In mid-air, Brown realized no one could actually see he had his eyes closed. So he quickly covered them with his forearm. The now iconic no-look dunk sealed his win and made history. Reebok wasted no time capitalizing on the moment.
Hey, D. Brown, what are you doing here in New York?
Practicing my new dunk.
Oh, yeah? Which jam?
The King Kong Jam.
Reebok was neck and neck with Nike. The basketball business, twinned with the aerobics market, had pushed them over the top. By the dawn of the 1990s, Reebok was the largest sports company in the world. In the world. For a brief, glorious moment, Reebok wasn't just competing with Nike, it was winning. Reebok may have won the battle, but Nike was sitting on a nuclear weapon. The history of the NBA is basically a never-ending relay race of superstars. One era hands off to the next, Magic and Bird in the 80s, Jordan in the 90s, and then Kobe and Shaq running through the 2000s before LeBron took over and, well, we're still waiting for him to let go. Naturally, sneaker companies saw these superstars as walking...
Brother, he been let go. Steph Curry been at the top, bro. Stop disrespecting Curry like that. Y'all niggas gonna put some respect on Curry's name like he didn't whoop this nigga LeBron ass for like 4 straight finals. Or was it 3? 3 straight finals. Don't sit up here and act like Curry ain't beat this nigga 3 times in the finals, bro. Stop it. Put some respect on that man's name.
Dunking and trash-talking billboards for their brand. The endorsement game wasn't new. Bob Cousy had been slinging PF flyers since the 50s. Adidas and Puma went to war over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Clyde Frazier in the 1970s, and Converse had been the undisputed king of the NBA with Dr. J's Pro Leather and Magic and Bird's weapons. Nike had tried to sign Magic Johnson in 1979, but he opted for market leader Converse, and that mistake haunted them. So when Michael Jordan strolled out of Chapel Hill in 1984, Nike wasn't about to let history repeat itself. Jordan's arrival went hand in hand with a boom in sportswear sales in the 1990s, with American kids inspired by a new wave of fashion-forward teams like the Sharks, Ducks, Hornets, and Magic draining their local stores of licensed merchandise. Sportswear was cool. New companies sprung up and saturated the market, putting the squeeze on established players Adidas, Reebok, and Nike. As Jordan won his first championship in 1990 and followed it up with another. By 1992, Reebok was back in second place, and this was where everything changed. If they couldn't beat Nike in the air-conditioned arenas of the NBA, then they'd take them outside to the concrete and chain-link nets of America's basketball courts. Reebok recognized it needed a leader, a bankable star with flash, style, and dominance to bite back against Nike in the increasingly crowded sportswear market. Enter Shaq. Kids gravitated towards Shaq's larger-than-life personality, huge smile, and shattering dunks when he debuted for the Magic in 1992. With Shaq as the figurehead, Reebok went all in on its black top and above-the-rim series, hoping to own the streetball culture. But there was one problem. Big men don't sell shoes. Sure, Shaq was
That's a
larger-than-life, but
motherfucking lie.
What's the problem? No one looked at a 7'1", 300-pound center and thought, yeah, that's me. And unfortunately, shoes built for giants tend to be, let's say, structurally reinforced, which is a nice way of saying ugly. Whilst the Shaq Attack and Shaqnosis sneakers were relevant in the culture, they didn't do the numbers that Reebok needed them to. And after a young mother called Shaq out for the high price of his Reebok trainers after a Magic training session, Shaq began to focus on his own affordable sneaker brand, the Dunkman. And that was the beginning of the end. A few years later, he joined the Lakers on a $100 million deal, and Reebok and one of the league's biggest stars parted ways. The other players Reebok signed were electric. Shaq was a force of nature, Sean Kemp was throwing down dunks that defied physics, and Nick Van Exel was, well, anyway, he was fast. But while Jordan turned Nike,
The disrespect towards Nick Van Exel is crazy. Nick Van Exel was pretty decent for his time, bro. You ain't gotta disrespect him like that.
into a global icon, Reebok's endorsement playbook didn't quite hit in the same way. They had talent, they had style, but they didn't have Michael Jordan. And nowhere was that more obvious than at the 1992 Olympic medal ceremony when Jordan, ever the Nike man, covered up the Reebok logo on his warm-up suit with the American flag. By 1996, it was clear. Jordan and Nike weren't just a competition. They were the final boss. Reebok needed to get more aggressive. They needed a new face of the brand. And in the draft, they found the perfect man for the job. If the question was how to beat Nike, Reebok thought they might just have found the answer.
With the first pick in the 1996 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Allen Iverson from Georgetown University.
As the Bulls were putting the finishing touches on their fourth NBA championship, a young Allen Iverson was tearing it up as a Georgetown player. He wasn't just another talented guy, he was a generational player, a culture-shifting superstar. Nike was in the mix, but Reebok were all in. So much so, they designed his first signature shoe before even signing him. They called it The Question, because, well, there were a lot of questions surrounding Iverson at the time. Could he handle the NBA? Would his streetball swagger translate? Would he ever pass the ball? Designed by Scott Hewitt, the Reebok Question had everything. Hexalite cushioning, gilly lacing that mimicked the Air Jordan 6, and a now iconic colored toe cap. When AI laced
The only shoe I've never owned, the one iconic shoe I've never owned or had on my feet is a pair of Questions, bro. I want a pair so bad. I really do. Like, I really want a pair so bad. I should have got them during the pandemic when they put all the colors out and they was all just sitting there. And I could have just went up and got me one, but I was brainwashed by the swoosh. Brainwashed by the swoosh, but now I can see clear. I can see clearer now. I'm not brainwashed by the swoosh no more. Fuck the swoosh. Fuck Nike. I've been more intrigued to dive into more brands than just the weak ass swoosh. The swoosh has been dying for quite some time now, and they doing it to themselves, by the way. So I've been more inclined to try these on. I've always wanted a pair of these Iversons, but never got the chance to. I'm gonna give me a pair though. Definitely gonna give me a pair in the near future. Yeah, when Iverson went to Reebok and Iverson took off, basketball wise, man, Reebok was up, nigga. You couldn't tell us nothing, bro. It was either you was gonna get a pair of Jordans or you was gonna get a pair of Iversons. That's literally how it was back then, bro. You was either gonna get a pair of Jordans or Iversons. Some would settle for the Jordans. Most would go for the Iversons, bro. Either way, you wanted a pair of these shoes. You had to have a pair of these shoes. One nigga could come in with the red Iversons. I remember one time one nigga came in with the red and white Iversons from like the ones he wore in the finals. He came in with the red and white ones. I came in with the black and white ones. I was the man that day. Cause I had got them like when they first came out, but everybody didn't have a pair of them. So, but everybody was kind of curious about it. Then they saw them on my feet, bro. They saw them shits. They was like, damn, bro, them the Iversons. Damn, bro, I need to get them, bro. Sure enough, 3 weeks later, everybody and their mama had some Iversons, bro. You can't sit up here and say Iverson not. There's a reason. It's deeper than basketball, bro. When I say Iverson is the GOAT, it's deeper than basketball. Y'all thinking basketball. It's deeper than basketball, bro. That's why I say Iverson is the GOAT for me. Y'all say who I think the greatest NBA player of all time is. I'm gonna tell you Iverson every time, and I mean that. I'm not saying that to troll. I literally mean that. I literally feel that way. It's deeper than what y'all think, bro. But I digress.
Them up for his rookie season, he put on a show, crossing over Michael Jordan himself and making sure everyone knew his name. Reebok had high hopes for the shoe, but even they underestimated the hype. When we put the first 5,000 pairs in Philly, kids were driving up from Virginia and DC to get them. The question was such a massive hit, they didn't even bother making the question 2 until 2004. Instead, they pivoted straight to the answer. Unlike Shaq 5 years prior, kids on America's blacktops could identify with Iverson. And despite a downturn in basketball shoe sales in the late 90s, the Answer sold. The Answer also debuted Iverson's I3 logo. Soon Reebok had I3 on everything: jerseys, headbands, t-shirts, notebooks, even backpacks. And so,
bro, I had the headband, the wristband, I had the shorts. I ain't had the shirt though. I always wanted the shirt though. I always wanted the shirt or the jersey, but all I could get was the shorts, the wristband, and the headband, bro.
remember how we talked about eras? Well, this was a moment when Michael Jordan retired from the Bulls in 1998, where the NBA was up for grabs. Nike scrambled as their golden goose flew the nest, and Reebok was perfectly poised to take the cultural reins with Allen Iverson and the I3, connecting with kids across the nation. The crossover, the cornrows, the sleeve. AI wasn't just a player, he was a movement, and Reebok empowered him to be exactly who he was, because it sold shoes. By the early 2000s, Reebok was built around Allen Iverson and his blacktop toughness. And so despite the downturn in sales for sportswear across the board, the Answer shoe took off, with 15 signature models released over 22 years. And while each shoe had its moment, there was none more iconic.
Hold on, go back for me, please. Go back for me, please. Thank you. Go back for me, please. I could tell you all the Iversons I ever had. I had these, the ones I was talking about. I had these right here. Then I had the all black ones too. I ended up getting the all black ones. I missed out on these, but I ended up getting these. Then I had a pair of these. And I think I had a pair. I think I did have a pair. Yeah, I did. I did have a pair of these. Yep. I did have a pair of these. My dad bought me these. Actually, my dad gave me these. He had them, but they didn't have them in his size, and he went a size up, and he was like, I can't fit this. I was like, you can have them though. I was like, all right. Shit. Mine was all black though. Because my dad, he ain't fuck with colors either. Me and my dad's the same person. We only deal with black and white shoes. I'm more so like, I like white shoes more than I like black shoes. But if it's black and white, I'll take them. Most definitely. I don't do colors. I hate colors. So like with these, I had all black. I had the all black version of these. I skipped these. I skipped all these and went to these. I had the black and red joints for these. I had like all black ones for these, and then it was black for these. So yeah. So the only ones I never had, the Answer ones, I always wanted these. You can miss me with these. I definitely want a pair of these. Whenever they need to re-release these, they've been re-releasing all these shoes. Reebok been releasing all these shoes. They need to re-release these because these is fire right here. I want these. I definitely want a pair of these. I think they did re-release these though. They did re-release the Answer 5. They did re-release these, so I definitely want to get these. I want to collect, man. I want to collect, man. Um, I'll take these if the colorway is good. If the colorway look nice on it, I'll take these. These look like a ripoff of the 22s or the 21s, I believe. I believe the 22s. These look like a ripoff of the 22s. You can mess me with these. I've seen those before. Played on the basketball team. Had this one kid on the basketball team. He had a pair of these. I've seen these in person. I was not a big fan of these. I didn't want anything to do with it. I saw these in person. I saw them on feet. Wasn't it? That's just me though. It wasn't it for me. So I might skip these. I might continue to skip these because these just wasn't it. I would definitely get another pair of these. For some odd reason, I never saw these before. This is my first time seeing these. I remember these from NBA Live, though. I do remember these from NBA Live, but I never saw them in the stores. So it is what it is. But anyway, so back to the video.
With 15 signature models released over 22 years. And while each shoe had its moment, there was none more iconic than the answer for. The shoe Iverson wore during his MVP season and the unforgettable run to the 2001 NBA Finals. That iconic image of Iverson stepping over Tyronn Lue in Game 1 of the Finals. His Reebok answer falls frozen in midair.
How about that? Steps over Tyronn Lue.
But it didn't happen. Reebok's bet didn't cash. Again. The Sixers lost in 5 games to the Lakers, and Shaq was named Finals MVP. Despite his stellar offensive play in Philadelphia, as he aged, Iverson couldn't see himself transitioning into a role player. He wanted to be the focal point of the offense. He dealt with injuries. He refused to come off the bench. He turned up late to practice. And meanwhile, Reebok's former bet Shaquille O'Neal and Iverson's fellow 1996 draftee Kobe Bryant were busy capturing the next era of NBA basketball. Iverson was a spark plug, a culture changer, a talking point and an icon. But with the Lakers three-peat in the early 2000s, the era belonged to Kobe and Shaq. Shaq should have been wearing Reebok, but he wasn't. Iverson should have won a championship, but he didn't. Reebok had the hype, Reebok had the moments, but somehow, every time the final buzzer sounded in the early 2000s...
But you failed to talk about the NFL, though. You failed to bring up the NFL. You keep talking about Iverson and the NBA and shit. You're not even bringing up the NFL and the success that the NFL was bringing with Reebok. The NFL and Reebok was having success together. They jerseys was on point, bro. Reebok jerseys over Nike jerseys any day of the week, bro. If I ever find me a pair of Reebok jerseys for football, buy them. I'm gonna buy them, and you should too. If you into collecting football jerseys and stuff like that, definitely settle for the Reebok and not the Nikes. I know everybody want to go for the swoosh and be like, oh no, go for the motherfucking Reebok ones, because the Reebok ones are the classic ones. The material is better. Everything about those jerseys are just better. They look better. They feel better. They're better. Versus having the Nike jerseys, trash. All Nike jerseys are trash in my personal opinion, because they ruin all the designs except for the Oakland Raiders, because the Oakland Raiders never changed their jerseys. But I digress.
Nike had the rings. Having recognized the downturn in sales of sportswear as casual fashion in the late 1990s, Reebok turned their attention to the league apparel contracts and launched an all-out attack on the American sideline. Somehow, Reebok beat out both Nike and Adidas for an exclusive 10-year NFL licensing deal.
They had
David
the better
Stern
jerseys.
And suddenly, Reebok had an exclusive licensing deal with the NBA as
Better
well.
jerseys.
Reebok returned to what they knew best, performance wear. They rebranded themselves as RBK. It was
Bro, Reebok had the better material for the jerseys, bro. Everybody was thinking like, I say back like what, 2017, 2018, when Nike took over the NBA and the NFL, everybody was thinking like, yo, the swoosh about to tear it up. And I was thinking that too. I was, like I said, I was hypnotized by the swoosh. But now, looking at it now, Nike is trash. Nike has been trash for years. They do a terrible job with jerseys. They do a terrible job with everything at this point. Nike is a terrible company right now. I don't mind. I wish Reebok would get back into the field of doing these. They need to partner back up with the NBA and start re-releasing like classics, bro. The Reebok need to start reproducing classics, bro. They need to get in touch with the NFL and the NBA and NHL and start re-releasing jerseys and jackets and stuff. At least jackets and hoodies and t-shirts at the bare minimum. If they can't get the jerseys because of the exclusive licensing agreement, then they should at least be able to make merchandise like jackets, hoodies, t-shirts. They should at least be able to make those for the meanwhile. I guarantee you, bro, that shit was sell 10 times harder than anything Nike has put out in the past 9 years, bro. I guarantee you, bro.
Wasn't fashion anymore. It was cutting-edge sports technology. And at precisely the same time, a fresh face emerged from Vincent St. Mary High School in Akron, Ohio.
A high school game here in Cleveland has attracted a crowd of 10,000 here tonight. But it's not just any high school game. It's phenom LeBron James against the #1 ranked team in the country, Oak Hill. LeBron Mania goes national here tonight.
Reebok, Nike, and Adidas fell over themselves to sign LeBron. Adidas sponsored his high school team's uniforms, and Reebok even got him a pair of custom Reebok questions for the 2003 McDonald's All-American game. Reebok chief Paul Fireman even folded up a $10 million check to convince LeBron to sign, but it didn't work. He would sign with Nike for $87 million. This was a body
money talks. Get your money. I can't be mad at
Nike
that.
After losing their bet on Allen Iverson in what was to become known as the Kobe and Shaq era, they scrambled, and it all got a bit desperate. Taking the money they would have spent on LeBron, Reebok completed the licensed sportswear full house by negotiating the MLB footwear contract and buying the hockey company, snagging the NHL jersey contract along with it. Reebok was now draped across every single major professional sports league in America. They doubled down on their relationship with Allen Iverson and, seemingly not learning their lesson, signed 7'6" Rocket center Yao Ming.
As they should.
Also poured budget into rapper collaborations. Enter 50 Cent's G-Unit sneakers,
Them shits was
Jay-Z's
ugly.
S Carter line, which brings us all the way back.
Hey, Jay-Z and bruh. Niggas was really rocking G units, but I'm so happy I did not fall for that fad. But my mama had the audacity to buy me a pair of Jay-Z shoes. My mama had the audacity to buy me a pair of S. Carters. Like I wanted them bitches. I looked at them bitches. I looked at them bitches in disgust. I looked at them bitches in disgust. My mama bought me them shoes. Say, you don't even wear your shoes. What the fuck make you think I want to wear some Jay-Z shoes? I don't want to wear no S. Carters. The fuck? I don't want to wear them shits. And this is before I started. My hatred for Jay-Z started. This is when I was like neutral with Jay-Z. I didn't know all the information. All I knew was the nigga was making music. That's all I knew. All I knew was the nigga was making music and he was married to Beyonce. That's all I knew about the nigga. But I for damn sure wasn't wearing no S. Carters. Fuck no. My mama had to force me to wear them bitches. I would not wear them bitches. I would wear some beat up ass Air Force Ones before I wear some S. Carters. That's how bad them shits was. I would. Never in my life was I going to wear them shits. Never.
That shit is fucking trash, dog. Get the fuck off the airwaves.
She was like, she wanted me to wear them. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wear them. I took them bitches outside. It was raining outside. I stepped in a mud puddle, brought them bitches back in, threw them bitches in the closet, never looked at it again. She whooped my ass for that shit. She whooped my ass when she saw I had put mud all over the S. Carter. I said, you told me to wear them. Yeah, you said I had to keep them clean. She whooped my ass for that.
God damn it!
It was at this moment he knew. He fucked up.
Got my ass whooped for fucking up the S. Carters. I ain't care about them shits. Nobody would wear them shits. I just didn't. Them shoes was ugly, bruh. Them S. Carters was ugly, bruh. Ugly ass shoes. And I didn't even want. Niggas was rocking the G units though. Crazy. I was like, you ain't got no pair of G units though. Nigga, I got some Jordans. You over here bragging about some G units. G unit. Meanwhile, I got some bread 11s on. Make it make sense, bro. Hey, 50 Cent was popping around. That's just let you know 50 Cent's impact around that time. Niggas would brag about that shit. Talk about some. You ain't even got the G units, bro. This nigga got some Jordans. Nigga, we over here rocking the G units. 5 months later, ain't nobody wearing them shits.
To 2005, and Reebok is everywhere. The NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL music videos flooded with oversized Reebok jerseys, Terry Tate, office linebacker, destroying your co-workers in a Super Bowl commercial, Sidney Crosby repping RBK on the ice, Peyton Manning repping Reebok on the gridiron. It's everywhere. And that is precisely the problem.
We have always said that this deal is about revenue synergies because I'm absolutely convinced that we have much more potential in growing both brands with the help of each other.
If you looked at the pro sports sidelines of the early 2000s, you'd think Reebok ruled the world. But behind the scenes, things were falling apart. The company had its hands in 100 different projects.
Iconic-ass commercials.
Meanwhile, Adidas, whilst big in Europe, was getting squashed in the US market, sitting with a measly 5% compared to Reebok's 17%. Nike, of course, was lapping them both, powered by the Air Jordan empire and LeBron James. Adidas needed firepower, and Reebok seemed like the perfect weapon. And so, in 2006, Adidas swooped in like a three-striped vulture and dropped $3.8 billion to acquire Reebok. On paper, it was a super team. Adidas would dominate European soccer, and Reebok would hold down the American sports, and together, they'd finally be able to challenge Nike.
And then came the biggest finesse move of all time. The biggest finesse move of all time. The biggest fucking finesse move of all time. They say, yeah, y'all go take over the American market and we're going to control the European market, but then we're going to help each other out. It was like, oh, okay. It was like, went right behind their backs and took their NBA deal. Right behind their backs. Went right behind their backs and took their NBA deal. The next thing you know, Adidas now owns all of the NBA. Crazy, bro. They took their NBA deal. They tried to take a couple other deals. They tried to take the NFL, but the NFL was like, no, we made a deal with Reebok. We made a deal with Reebok. We didn't make a deal with Adidas. We don't care if y'all merge together and y'all, nope, don't work like that. We still want Reebok on our shit. NFL wasn't going for that. Shout out to NFL for staying true and keeping Reebok name alive.
At least that was the plan. What actually happened? Adidas gutted Reebok like a fish. They decided Reebok was stretched too thin. NBA, NFL, fitness, music collabs. So they started trimming the fat. First, Adidas yanked Reebok's NBA deal and slapped their own logo on the jerseys. By 2012, Nike had swooped in and taken back the NFL contract. The NHL contract lasted until 2017, but Adidas eventually absorbed that too. And just like that, Reebok, once a major player in American sports, was wiped off the pro scene. Reduced to a fitness brand, pushing CrossFit shoes and training gear, while Adidas pocketed the high-profile sports contracts. Somewhere along the way, the magic faded. The pumps deflated. The answer was left unanswered. Reebok kept betting on the next thing. Shaq, Iverson, Jay-Z. But they never quite caught up to Nike's consistent stream of icons. Jordan, LeBron, Kobe. So who really killed Reebok? Nike? Adidas? Allen Iverson's refusal to practice? Who knows? But maybe Reebok's biggest enemy was themselves. Forever chasing trends instead of setting them. Always chasing Nike up and down the court. So rest in peace, Reebok. You'll always have Yao Ming. Hey, thanks for tapping in.
Disrespect. But no, it's clearly Adidas. If Adidas never came in and pulled that dirty ass move and took the NBA from them, I think Reebok could have still been around for a long time, bro. Because like I said, bro, if Reebok jerseys are highly valued at this point in time, Reebok jerseys are highly valued. I like Reebok's rebranding so far since Shaq and Allen Iverson took over. I like the fact that they're re-releasing shoes from the past. They do need to start focusing on making newer shoes to compete, but nostalgia is running the game right now. So, hey, I'm not mad at it though. You know, reintroduce yourself, bring out your old ones, make people feel like, oh shit, I ain't seen these in a minute. Let me buy these. People start buying them again, and next thing you know, who knows where it can go from here. But hey, it is what it is though. But anyway, so that just gonna about do it for this one. I'll see y'all in the next video. Till then, peace out.